Well, good morning and welcome to the last day of the Summer Starter Sale, which I'm doing as a representation to celebrate Juneteenth. If you do not know, my name is Audrey Codner and I'm the owner of ACG Math Tutoring as well as Math by Audrey. What I basically do on this platform is I show you that you can do math. And it's just basically you just need some kind of step-by-step process to help you understand the concepts in order for you to be successful in the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, the HESI test, and any other concept that gives you algebraic components. So what I like to do is just give you a sampler of what I actually produced, which is called the Algebra at Your Pace. Which it really does, it gives you a video recording of myself breaking down several concepts that is shown on the GED, the ASVAT, the Accuplacer, and the TEAS test to help you elevate your grade in order to elevate your understanding. One of the things that a lot of students are doing when they're like, okay, I have to take a standardized test, they immediately go to practice mode. They're like, I need to get practice problems. I need to break all these things down. True, but practice from what? In order for you to practice, that means you have to have that initial instruction to understand. We're trying to take a lot of instruction that we had many years ago and trying to apply it to the concepts of today. And this is why you get overwhelmed, you get confused, and then you're like, why can't I remember this? Because some of the concepts that's being tested and the way it's being presented, you haven't seen that in years. So give yourself a break, okay? Have someone give you some of the instruction so now when it's time for you to practice, you can apply what you learn. So one of the things that I'm going to do for today is actually work on breaking down a word problem, especially the age problems. They like to use a lot of these for the ASVAT and for the GED, especially the ASVAT. So I'm going to show you how to basically decode this word problem so then when it's time for you to do word problems, you're not so freaked out. Because here's the thing, let's be real, no one taught you how to break down a word problem. They tell you how to look at all the formulas. They say, okay, use this formula for this problem, use this formula for that problem. But you're not seeing the connection of why you need to use those formulas. So let's get started. So this is a problem actually from one of my books, especially the GED, okay, math practice section. And we have Sid. So we have a whole situation that's going on here. Just by looking at the problem, it's not as thick as most word problems are. Usually you'll get like a whole paragraph and a whole novel. But sometimes you get problems that are short and sweet and to the point. So we have Sid is twice as old as June. In 3 years, the sum of their ages will be 66. How old are they now? So we can tackle this one of two ways. You can probably try to work it on the reverse angle, but I'm also going to show you how to do it algebraically. So when we look at this, the first thing I have to ask myself is, what am I looking for? I'm looking at how old they are now. So they're giving me a couple hints. So they're telling me there's two people. We have Sid and we have June. What we know about Sid is twice as old as June, but we don't know anything about June. So June is going to carry the variable because since we don't know anything about June, we're going to say June is X, just to keep it simple. If I wanted to make it into a J, I could as well. But when you're testing, you want to make it as simple as possible. Now, Sid is twice as old as June. So twice, that's an operation. That means you're multiplying by 2. Okay? So now they're giving us a little bit extra. And the little extra is in 3 years, That's an operation as well. So in 3 years, are we adding 3 or are we subtracting 3? If you can, go ahead and put that into the chat. So they're saying in 3 years, are we adding 3 or are we subtracting 3? Okay. Hey, Big Al, good morning. Saying adding, Freddie, good morning, Freddie. Saying adding, Travel Diva saying adding, good morning to you. Thank you for all that are joining in. Okay, Tilo, thank you so much. You're saying adding as well. Thank you. BT saying adding. Okay, Haley, good morning. Adding. Ms. adding. All right. Hello and good morning. So since we're adding, I'm going to put this over here. Because what's happening is I'm adding 3 to where they are now. So what they're currently, we have a 2x here, and we have an x here. So now we're focusing on what's happening in 3 years. So they're saying the sum of their ages will be 66. That's another operation. Sum of, that means addition. But what am I adding? I'm adding their ages, and will be 66. That's another operation. So they're saying that these two ages, if I add them, it should equal 66. Thank you, Heavenly. Okay, so that means we have our 2x plus 3 plus our x plus 3 is going to equal 66. So this is how you set it up. Okay, so I'm getting some people with answers of A's and D's. Well, let's see. So now we want to solve this. And if I'm solving, I'm noticing I got one variable, which is great. It's x. So I want to solve this in terms of x. But if I take a look, here's one side of the equal sign. I can go ahead and combine things. Let me cover up the other side. So from here, I can go ahead and combine things. So I have 2x plus 1x. If you don't see a number as a coefficient, it's assumed to be a 1 because there's physically 1x there. So that means we have our 3x. So that takes care of the x's. Now we have 3 plus 3. That gives me 6. And all I have to do is bring down my equals 66. Okay, so that's taken care of. So now we just need to focus on this equation. Okay, hey JB, how are you? Good morning. So now we have 3x plus 6 equals 66. So now we have to do the inverse. Okay, so now we have to do the inverse of the plus 6, which is minus 6. The reason why I'm subtracting 6 on both sides is so I can isolate my variable, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve for x. So 6 minus 6, that gives me 0. But I'm going to bring down the 3x. So 66 minus 6, that gives me 60. All right. So now, what's next? We're trying to hit our goal of isolating the x. All right. So Olga, divide 3 from 60, divide 3, good. Divide, good. To get your 20, good. Divide by 3, good. Divide both sides by 3, excellent, guys, good. You know that the inverse, anytime you see 3x, there's no plus or minus between the two, that's multiplication. Okay, so we don't want to put 3xx. We're not using x to represent multiplication anymore. X is an unknown variable. So 3 divided by 3 gives me 1, and 1x and x means exactly the same thing. If you put a 1 in front of the x, that's fine, okay? It's not hurting anything, but you don't have to divide the 1. That's the extra step that a lot of people like to put in. And then 60 divided by 3, that gives me 20. Now, what does x equal 20 mean? What does it mean? Let me go back to the equation. So we know x is equal to 20. Going back here, what does that mean? Who is x? Who's representing x? Put that in the chat. Who's representing x? Okay, Heavenly's saying June's 20th. How old June is? Big Al. Okay, June, good. June, is that Jakarta? Okay, JB, June. Yes, Haley, I got you. All right, Haley, you're saying with its A. Okay, so if June is 20, now we're looking at our answer choices. This is when we're doing process of elimination. So I'm looking right at June. So June is 20, that works. June is 30, no. June is 8, no. June is 20, yes. But we need the other part. And the other part was what we had up here. Sid is twice as old as June. That's where this 2x came from, especially for those that came a little bit later. So if we know that June is 20, how old is Sid? I see you, Heavenly. Good. I see you, Olga. Good. Yes. Okay. Yes, Haley. There you go. Big Al, I see you. Norg Johnson, I see you. Brenda, I see you. JB, I see you. All right. Excellent, guys. Excellent. So all you're doing is taking this 20, and if you want, you can substitute for this x. So that gives you 2 times 20, which will give us 40. This one says Sid is 10. This one says Sid is 40. Our answer is D. Okay. Yep. You can also do it that way with the 66. Well, 66 minus 20 doesn't give you 40. Okay. I think I see where you were going with it. But if you're going to plug back into what you got to represent Sid and June. That would be the better part. Okay. Yep. Because that means we had to take away the 3 years from each Sid and June. Thank you, Heavenly. Okay. Or Lily. All right. So you see how when we break down the word problems, what we're not doing is basically saying, hey, let me just read this whole thing, okay? Because sometimes they give you nice long paragraphs and you're trying to read the whole entire paragraph and then you're like, where do I start? Always start at the question, okay? Always start at the question and you just break it on down, okay? Now, the reason why I have us do this is because there's going to be times that you're going to have to pull information out. And certain words have certain phrases. Like twice was 2 times. It was multiplied by 2. In 3 years, we had to add 3 years to it. The sum of, that was addition. And will be, and they said the sum of their ages will be, that means it had to equal 66. So what I'm going to be showing you is how do we go from verbal to algebraic? And we're going to be breaking down those concepts step by step. So, I'm going to start off nice and easy. Okay? Translate this into the chat. The sum of the number and 5. Okay? So for those that don't know, my name is Audrey Codner. I'm the owner of Math by Audrey and ACG Math Tutoring. And what I'm doing is basically breaking down a lot of the concepts that we basically have trouble with, which is word problems. So we're taking this thing step by step to help prepare people for their GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, and the TEAS test. So if this is the type of live that you come on and you're already taking like pre-calculus and calculus and you're like, man, this is mad easy. Well, this is not the live for you. I appreciate you coming. I love how you're being here. But see, some people may need to make this adjustment. So I definitely go slow. I go into a little bit more details so we can break down concepts. Okay? All right. So I have x plus 5. I have 5x with JB. Beacons, I have 6. I have sol form with x plus 5. Now, if you are not sure what the answer is, go ahead and put a question mark in the chat. Okay? This is how we're actually going to be learning a little bit. Because we have to face our fears with word problems. They're not going away anytime soon. There may be tons of other adjustments. Hell, there might even be more word problems that we have to deal with. Okay? All right, I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. Okay, 21 and 42. Well, snapperhead, how? Just how? Okay? So all we're doing is translating. You don't know what the numbers are. Okay? All right, so let's take a look. The sum of a number. So sum means addition. We just talked about that. So sum means addition. And when they say the sum of, okay, the product of, the difference of, they're saying that you are looking at two things that you're going to do that operation. So the sum of means we're going to add two things. And what are the two things? That's what follows up next. A number, which right now we don't know what that number is. And if we don't know what the number is, that's why we use a variable. I'm using the letter N because number begins with an N, right? But I can use any letter of the alphabet except for E and I because they are actual numbers. So we're adding a number and 5. And I think this came up yesterday. Everybody's like, well, and means addition. But since we have the sum of is telling us a collection of two things. Now, if you use X, that's perfectly fine. Okay? I just use N. It's like, that's what I like to do, okay? So you do still have the same answer as long as you're having the same operation and they're still going into the same process. All right? Okay? Let's take a look. So now for the next one, put this one into the chat, please. Okay, so Heavenly with your x minus 23, is that Chipotle? Is saying your n minus 23. Bacon's is saying, or bacon ribs is saying n divided by 23. Big Al is x minus 23. Okay, thanks for sharing the live. Josh is saying n minus 23. 44 Digital is saying n minus 33. Okay. SS Heritage is saying n minus 23. Potato Army n minus 23. Okay, switched it up. Thank you. 44 Digital saying n minus 23. Okay, user 95. We have like 42 years old. I never knew you could use any letter but E and I. Was always confused. Yep. E and I's are actually numbers. All right. So we got Michela is saying n minus 23. JB x minus 23. And I am Vincent n minus 23. There we go. All right. So difference of. Okay, so purple pennies, make sure you be careful. There's no equals. There's no is, there's no equals. So now, difference of. Anytime we see the word difference, you're taking, in order for me to compare one thing to another, I'm looking at what is missing. Okay, what is missing? So that is going to be subtraction. So what are they taking the difference of? A number, which we don't know, could be your n, could be your x, and 23. Now, I know for a fact because a lot of our students are in the digital era. A lot of people don't even know what this means. A lot of students have trouble with this. They're used to seeing the actual numeric form. They're having trouble with this. So, like, if they ever had to write a check, which a lot of people don't write checks anymore, but a lot of the kids, a lot of the students cannot, they struggle with this. And I'm talking high school students. That's what I taught. All right. Okay. Is that the whole answer? That's the whole answer. That's it. Because all we're dealing with is expressions. Okay. All of these are expressions. The reason why they're not equations because they don't have the word is. They don't have the word equals. They don't have the phrase is identical to, is equivalent to, the result of. They don't have any of that. Okay. So right now we're just basically doing the basic translation. Okay. All right. Let's try another one. Okay. What do we get for a translation for this one? Okay. Shaheritage is saying 4xn. JB is saying 4n. Purple Pennies is saying n plus 4 equals. There still isn't any equals, Purple Penny. Okay. 44 Digital is saying 4 star n. Okay. When Mike was saying 4 divided by n. Okay. Josh is saying 4.n. All right. Thank you for sharing the live. Appreciate it. Okay. Give me two more people. Two more people. Because I'm seeing basically 2 to 3 different answers. Thank you, Miss G, with the 4x. Okay, appreciate that. One more. Potato Army is saying 4xn. Okay, so now, most of you got this. Product. Product means multiplication. Now, this is when it gets a little weirdish. Because a lot of us, depending on what grades we are, especially for elementary, we're used to seeing multiplication with this, with an x. So we're saying the product of 4 and a number. So some people are doing 4xn. In algebra, x is representing as a variable. So this is reading as you have two variables. Okay, so we're not going to do 4xn. You could do 4 with the dot n, as some people like to do, or you can do with 4 with parentheses n. But another way that you're going to see mostly is going to be 4n right adjacent to each other. Okay, so we're not using the x because the x is representing a variable. And I know because as we go from elementary to middle, we're all sitting here talking about the x for multiplication. We need to change that. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm not sure if it's going to be in my lifetime. But when we say the product of a number, which is 4, and a number, you can just simply write it as 4n or 4x. Because if there's not a plus or minus sign in between the 4 and the n, that means you're dealing with multiplication. Okay, is that a little bit clearer? Okay. Yes, Josh, I actually sell these cards. If anything, there is a link that's in my bio. You can get an ebook version of my books, and you can actually download it and get access today. Or there's a physical copy that you can get off of the A, and the A is, a rainforest, the brown box with the smiley face on it. Okay. And there's like a whole stack of these. Okay. Let's try this one, and I'll show you where to go. You're so welcome. Okay. Usually, like if you're going to do any kind of flashcards, I think the downloadable version is one, cheaper than what you would get on the A. But at the same time, you can just download what you want. You can just print off what you want. Seems a little bit easier. So let's step it up a little bit. The product of a number and 6 increased by 14. Okay, Big Al, I see you. JB, I see you. SS Heritage, I see you. Okay, Mike, I see you. Okay, Purple Pennies, I see you. Brenda, I see you. Okay, I don't want to hint. Some of them are the answers, some of them are a little bit of correction, but this is why I do this. So we can tweak our thinking so then you can excel a little bit in math, feel a little more confident in math. Okay, that's why I do all of my workbooks and all my resources, just for these things. Okay, Potato Army, I see you, and Mary, I see you. Now, Miss G, thank you so much. I see you as well. So let's take this down step by step. I know I keep moving this every 2 seconds. So we have two operations going on here. We have the product of, which we now know it's multiplication, but we also have increased by. That's another thing. All right? Okay? So LS, there's no equals. There's no equal signs, but let me show you. So first off, let's work on the first part. So the first part says the product of a number and 6. So product of means you're going to be multiplying, and you're going to be multiplying two things. And what are those two things? A number, which is our variable, and 6. So even though they have a number first and then 6 following, this is still 6n. Okay, that's still going to be 6n. Because when you're dealing with multiplication, your number always goes before your variable. Okay, this is what's called a coefficient. So now we multiply those, but now we got to do the second step. And the second step says increased by 14. When something is being increased, it's not equal, it's rising. It's being added. And it's being added by what? 14. Okay. So the product of a number and 6 increased by 14 is going to be your 6n plus 14. Called what? What called what? Liberation called what? I'm a little confused on the question, because I didn't see a prior question, unless I missed it. All right, Potato Army, thank you for the follow. Thank you, everyone, for the follow and for the likes and the checking in. I greatly appreciate it. Okay. So Liberation when you get a chance. Okay. You love my books? Thank you, Angel. I know we went with a lot of back and forth. We got there. But I like the fact that you asked questions and you wanted to make sure. Okay. Oh, the coefficient. So your 6 is called the leading coefficient. Okay. Or it's called the coefficient. Yep. So anytime the number is in front of your variable like this is called a coefficient, whereas the 14 is called a constant. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's intensify a little bit. You're like, oh God. No, it's okay. All right. The sum of two consecutive integers. So coefficient is a number that's in front of the variable when you're multiplying. Okay. This is going to be a little challenging, but they do have word problems that always ask you about consecutive integers. Okay. When you see this, how are you feeling? Before you start giving me answers, how are you feeling about this one? Because the other one seemed a little straightforward, right? Okay. So I got Ellis, I see you. Julian, I see you. Okay, Big Al, I see you. JB, thank you. You feel confused. Okay, Angel, tricky. Got you. Okay, and these are understandable emotions. Now remember, when you see this, especially for a test, don't let it throw off your rhythm. Okay, this is why I try to do these things. Don't let it throw off your rhythm. Maybe in the beginning you're like, yes, I'm getting this. And then you see something that's a little standoffish. And then immediately you want to shut down. But no, take a breath. Okay. All right. Absolute, I see you. SS Heritage, I see you as well. So the key part of this is we have to identify, what does consecutive mean? What does consecutive mean? Because that's going to be crucial. Okay? If you can sum it up, what do you think the word consecutive means? Go ahead and put that in the chat. And if you're not sure, put a question mark. Okay? There's no shame in the game. This is what we're doing. We are all learning. Okay, Big Al in a row. Okay, do we agree with Big Al? Consecutive, it means in a row. Okay, JB's not sure. Thank you so much. Or one after the other. Thank you, Big Al. Okay, continuously following up. All right, Purple Pennies, good. All right, TJ agrees with Big Al. All right. So consecutive, you can think of it as back to back. All right. Like, I know a lot of people in New York are like, all right, we won this year. We want to win next year. Let's do it back to back, because it's always hard. Brenda, in a row. Yes. So if I may, this is what I mean. So consecutive, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And it can continue on. Those are consecutive. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. There is a pattern. So if I'm starting with 1, let's say 1 is going to represent my x. How do I get from 1 to 2? What do I do? What operation do I do in order for me to, when I start with a 1, in order for me to get to 2? Take a think. Just think about it a little bit. Okay. Big Al saying add 1. Addition. Good, Angel. All right. Addition. JB. Good. So for me to go from 1 to 2, I had to add 1. All right. There's going to be a reason. There you go, Potato Army. I see you. All right, Mary, I see you. So here's another thing. If I start here at 1, how do I get from 1 to 3? If I'm starting at 1, how do I get from 1 to 3? Purple Penny saying adding 2. That says Sherridge, add 2. Big Al, add 2. Okay. Okay, so I'm adding 2. Okay, Potato Army saying add 2. Okay, Brenda, we're going to add. Now, here's the next thing. How do I go from 1 to 4? How do I get from 1 to 4? Okay, so we're adding 3. So what's happening? There's a pattern. Okay, there's a pattern. And I'm making the pattern into an algebraic expression. Meaning, if I'm starting with my first number, which is 1, I'm going to put x. In order for me to get to the next number, I had to add 1 to the first number, which is x. In order for me to get to the next number, I have to add my first number, and I'm adding 2. So I am adding these numbers. And for me to get to my next number, which is the 4, I had to add 3. This works for all numbers. Okay, so let me show you. You're probably like, oh, wait, okay, we're going to be doing something funky. Now, let's say that I started with, I'm going to use this pattern. Let's say that I start with 4. Okay, that's my starting number. In order for me to get to the next number, I have to do 4 plus 1. And 4 plus 1, that gives me 5. In order for me to get the next number in my term, I start with my first number, which is 4, and I add 2. 4 plus 2 gives me 6. In order for me to get this next term, I have to take my first number, which is 4, and I had to add 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Aren't they consecutive integers? Remember, integers are positives and negative numbers. Okay? So what you're doing is finding the pattern how you go from one number to the next. All right? Is that what is in confusion or what is in excitement? There's different versions of what now, unfortunately. Okay? So in order for me to get the sum of means we're adding two things. I want to know the sum of two consecutive integers. So the first integer we don't know. That will be our x. But like we said, in order to find the second term, we have to add 1. So the second number will be our x plus 1. So the sum of consecutive integers is represented like this. Okay? So they usually put this like in a word problem. The sum of two consecutive integers is 47. What is the lowest integer? So basically you're using this formula. You're using your x plus 1 equals the 47. And then you would have to do algebra to find your answer. Okay? That was a tough one. But this GED people, 4-point question. 4-point question. I don't want you to give that up. Yes, it's the formula 2. Yep. So if you understand the pattern, let me expand up a little bit. If you understand the pattern of what's happening with consecutive numbers, like if I started with 1, how do I get to 2? I add 1. If I start with 1 to get to 3, I had to add 2. If I start 1 to get to 4, I have to add 3. Okay? So whatever my first number is, the second number I'm going to add 1 to, my x. Whatever my second number is, I'm going to add 2. Then I'm going to add 3. Okay, so the pattern is actually increasing. Okay, all right. So that's what consecutive integers is. The other one is consecutive odd and even. Guess what? They're the same thing. All right. So if I wanted to do consecutive odd, I would start with 1, 3, 5, 7. We'll just do that. And we know there's more. So the first odd number is 1. How do I get from 1 to 3? I'm adding 2. Now, how do I get from 1 to 5? How do I get from 1 to 5? What do you think? Okay, how would I get from 1 to 5? So Big L saying add 4, JB add 4, Purple Pennies add 4. There we go. So now, how would I get from 1 to 7? How would I get from 1 to 7? Jay, you don't suck at math. You just have to take your time with it, okay? So we adding 6. Notice these numbers, 2, 4, 6. So if the first number, that's going to represent my x. The second number is going to be x plus 2 because I had to add 2 to get to my next term. Then the next one is x plus 4. And the next one is x plus 6. Okay. Calculus. Calculus is the devil's minion, of course, but you know. All right. So this can be used for odds, but guess what? This also can be used for even numbers. For example, if I say my starting number is 4, okay? If I plug that 4 in for x, 4 plus 2 gives me 6. If I plug the 4 for this x, 4 plus 4, that gives me 8. And if I plug a 4 for this x, 4 plus 6, that gives me 10. Look at the numbers. 4, 6, 8, 10. Aren't those consecutive even numbers? Okay. So the only major difference between consecutive integers and consecutive even or odd integers in the formula, consecutive integers, you just do x plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. Odd or even, it's just going to start with plus 2 plus 4 plus 6. All right, those are what the difference. All right, so let's end on a good note. See, a lot of this breakdown is exactly how I break down in my formulas, in my books. Okay, last one for today, and then you guys are going to go and continue to have an amazing day. Right now it's 77 degrees in Baltimore and it's beautiful. There's a breeze. Loving it. Okay. Oh, I know. But see, that's what I'm saying. We can keep the party going. It's all in the books. And you can basically have me be your personal tutor, walking you through concepts step by step at any time. Okay? So the quotient of a number and 4 less than 7. How would we convert this? A quotient of a number and 4 less than 7. Is 74 in South Carolina? Ooh, I know. Are you near the water, Potato Army? Okay, so Big Al is saying n over 4 minus 7. JB is saying negative 7 divided by 4n. Purple Pennies is saying 4x minus 7. Sadly, no. That's okay. But are you close enough that you can maybe take a day? A little day trip. Why not? Take a little day trip. Or even just to sit out on that porch. Just a nice breeze. You know? Life's good. Life's good. All right. So we have 2 operations going on here at the same time. Okay, so I saw Big Al's, I saw JB's, I saw Purple Pennies. Okay, and if you're not sure, put a question mark in the chat. Okay, put a question mark in the chat. Because this is how we're going to have to attack our fear of word problems. It's basically trying to figure out what is the problem asking and what do you need to pull out like a detective. Don't read word problems as if it's a Harlequin novel. It doesn't help you. You know, they're giving you all this extra stuff that you really don't need. Okay? All right? We're going to count question marks? Okay, so let's see. So we're looking at 2 things, as I mentioned. We have quotient of. Now that's going to be a verbiage that some people may or may not know. Quotient means division. So we're going to be dividing 2 things. Anytime they say quotient of, that's going to be division. Okay? As Heritage, thank you for doing that. I'm going to show you what's going on with that one. Okay? So quotient, you could write it as a ratio, but it'll be so much easier to write it as a fraction. So what are we dividing? A number and 4. Okay, so that's that first part. So this is a part that a lot of people generally get kind of mixed up. Like, oh, I got to do all this other stuff. No, quotient is telling you there's 2 things involved. The 2 things is a number and 4. So the first part is your numerator. The second part is your denominator. That's the difference. So that means you're going to have a fraction of a variable, let's say x, over 4. Now, this is the part that I think, Heritage, I love the fact that you did that, but we got to tweak it. This says less than. Less than means subtraction. If it had the word is, and trust me, there's a lot of people that think the exact same thing. If the word is was in front of less than, that's the inequality. Okay? Ratios is division. Yes, it is. Okay? All right? No, you're not dumb. I need for you to correct that thinking. So, since we don't have is, we just have less than. So less than is the subtraction. What's going to carry the subtraction is going to be the quotient. So that means your minus sign is going to be attached to the quotient, the x over 4. Because this is what's less than. So that's the one going to have the minus sign. And it's less than what? It's less than 7. Okay. Do you see it now? So yes, ratios are fractions. Okay, when you see a division sign and it usually has like the two dots, these dots are supposed to represent your numerator and denominator, just like your x and your 4. Okay, so this is your answer for this one. All right, so this is how exactly I basically teach throughout my whole systems. And let's call it the algebra at your pace. Okay, you're so welcome. Because these are the little things that we have to tweak. Okay, yep, you twist it. Yep, it's twisted. Anytime you see less than or more than, you always have to switch, or as you call, twisted. Okay. So as we're breaking down these concepts, these are the things that will probably build up your confidence when it's time for you to tackle word problems. So now, once you know that certain words are giving you clues, they're giving you a little nuances of, okay, bits and pieces. Some word problems, you don't have to read the whole thing, especially if they give you an equation. If they give you an equation, go directly to the question and then see what information you could pull from the rest of the paragraph. That's one way that you can shorten what you have to read, because we like to read to understand everything. We don't care that Johnny was walking on the beach one day with his latte and then all of a sudden the surf just came up and just wiped on his feet, and they want to know how old is Susan. Who the heck is Susan? Where did Susan come from? And then you're like worrying about like, what does this have to do with this? And then as you're sitting here trying to wrap your brain around it, the time is going on, and then you're losing time for the test. And then now you're trying to apply what you're learning. And then all of a sudden you freak out, you freeze, you get overwhelmed, and then your brain wants to do what? Shut down. I want to eliminate that. So when you're looking at word problems, especially if they give you an equation, okay, they give me an equation, go to the question. And after you solve, always go back to the question. Because you might have solved like we did today with Sid and June. Okay? This question could have read, how old is June? Okay? Well, we figured out June is 20. Boom, we're done. Or the question could have said, how old is Sid? Okay, we figured out June, but we were not done. We have to go back to figure out what Sid is. Okay, so that's why every time you solve, just take a quick glance at the question, make sure that you're answering the question. Okay, yeah, and my thing, JB, you're not alone. You are not alone. So this is why I basically have developed. These are the things, especially people that are going back to school, and the one thing that they were complaining about is that when they go to college and they haven't been in school forever, they're thinking that they're going back to school and they're going to take their time like they did in high school. No ma'am, no ma'am, no sir. Okay? Everything is going at a faster pace. So that's why I have like almost like a review thing, which you'll get like a QR code. You scan the QR code and it will take you directly to a whole playlist that's going to touch on all of these concepts like adding, subtracting, dividing, integers, looking at fractions, looking at decimals, looking at exponents, okay? And notice after most of the sections, they all have practice problems. That's all ready for you, all right? So what I'm showing is the physical book, but I do have a lot of these books are ebooks, okay? So that's what my sale is. So as we're breaking all this stuff down, you have a quiz for each section. You can go ahead and take this 10-question quiz. Some of my quizzes are 15 questions long. After you take the quiz, the answer is always usually in the back. But I also give you some support. Now, the support piece is like basically the rules and regulations. I call it the reference pages. So we're looking at adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. All of those rules that you kind of forgot. about decimal operation, fraction operation. Hey, Lynette. Okay, percent, decimals, fractions. Okay, order of operations. If you forgot about how it goes, and also for my international people, then we have also for exponents. And if you can't remember, here's the real thing. A lot of kids don't know how to read a multiplication chart. They don't. So what we do is we look at the factors. Do you have a test to see where I'm at? Yes, I do. That is coming up. Look at you jumping ahead. Okay. So I will show you where exactly you can take a test to see where your math skills are. All right. So we're taking a look at, hey, this looks familiar. What do we got? Okay, we have our words for adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, equals, which some of us kind of try to keep adding into, and notice the difference of inequalities. The word is. Okay, so we're taking a look at all of those words and phrases, and then since this section has exponents, and people still have problems with exponents, which there's nothing wrong with that. So I give you some flashcards in the back of the book. Okay, so in the back of this lovely ebook, we have our questions, which are on this side, then the answers, which is on the other side. So you fold right here. You can cut it out of the book if you want to make copies of it, and then you could physically fold it, put a little bit of tape inside just so it can keep it sealed a little bit. Or if you got a laminating machine, because I used to be a teacher, so I still have some of my supplies. I'm telling you, they like live on. I haven't been in the classroom for 6 years. Okay. But all of that is in here. Okay. So when you're looking at this, I do have a sale for my ebooks. Okay. Volume 1, we got our which I just basically showed you, the integers, the decimals, the exponents. But then also volume 2, which deals with order of operations. This is the one that everyone asks questions about. Then you have your ratios, your factors, your fractions. A lot more word problems are in here. Scientific notation is in here. Ratio and proportions. Okay, then I put 2 quizzes in here because I wanted to split up the order of operations section. Notice now we got a little more word problems in here. Percent to decimals to fractions, percentage word problems. So now not only are you practicing, you're going to have me taking you through step by step, and then you're going to have time to practice what you learned in those steps. You're going to be able to write down the practice problems, and every book, ebook, has an exit ticket. So just to really solidify, and of course the beginning of the next video is the answer to a step-by-step answer to that exit ticket. Would it help with the ASVAB? Yes. Absolutely. All these books will help you get you past that 31. Okay. And again, I always put references, but then just because we have order of operation, I put a lot of the matching cards back here. So you can practice on your skills, but then I have like answers. And all you have to do is just match the card with the answers. And if you're not sure which ones go with which, that's why at the very end, I know so much flipping around, I give you an answer key so you can kind of have an idea. All right. So all of this is the instructional bit. But then we need to practice. We need to practice how? How much are the books? I'm actually going to do that. When's my next live? I might be going live later on this afternoon. I'm not sure. So far, I'm feeling pretty decent. Usually Father's Day is a very emotional day for me. So with the practice exams, this is 6 full-length tests. You need to practice the way that you're going to test. Okay, so it gives you things with statistics, it gives you with geometry, it gives you a little bit of factoring, everything that you need to do. All you have to do is sit down, time yourself because you need to practice that, and it's like giving yourself a mock test. Okay, it does come with an answer key. Now, I am doing, and this sale ends today at 11:59. I'm doing the ebook versions of these books. That means volume 1, volume 2, and the practice exam books. Okay, and also I'm doing a video breakdown of all the extra practice problems and the quiz that's in volume 1. All of this was normally $42. For basically the end of today is going to be $27. Okay, thank you. $27. Yes. So if you want the copy of the book, if you want the physical copy of the book, you're going to have to go to the A. And guess what? Since these things are thicker than a Snicker and I'm using color, the cost of each of my books on the A is $25, $24.99 to be exact, before taxes. Here, you're going to get access to 3 ebooks, uno, dos, tres, for $27, right? I know, I can't even say it. Okay. Now, where can you get these books? You're like, yes, tell me. Tell me. Okay, if you go to my profile, as soon as I can turn my phone on. Oh, that's what I always wanted to see. Lips on my thing. Okay. All right, so if you go to my profile, wow, that's like really up there. If you notice, I only have one link. Okay, so that goes to my Stan store. Once you click that link, then it's going to take you to my exact Stan store. Switch up here. All right, so couple things where to start, because I don't want you to get completely overwhelmed. All right, you can watch my mini tour. It's like a 3-minute video of the mini tour, and it shows you all of my ebooks that I have available. So if you want, for the person that asks, can I test where my scores are, where I'm at, you can go here where it says stop the math spiral, free skill check. So if you just click on there, and then it gives you the description of what the skills. And all I ask is for your name and your email. I don't like to bother people. I just want to know who's looking at my stuff. Once you do that, then you understand, here's my terms and conditions. Make sure you watch that, because once you get the purchase, all purchases are final, because I'm giving you files. After I give these files, I don't know what you guys are doing with it. All right. Yes, $27, and it's finishing up. And all I have to do is, for this one, the download is download free. So for this one, that's where you can start. Now, if you feel so inclined, we're going into the math systems. Again, these are all ebooks, okay? Because if you try to go on the A, you're going to be paying, basically, for 3 books, you're going to be paying the price for 1. And I know some people like to physically have books. You could print them out. You could go to Staples if you don't have your own printer to print them out, if you want to do that as well. So for this one, it actually shows you with the starter what it is, what it includes, and also I'm starting up to like August the 7th, you can get a reassurance session. So if you get stuck and you're like, I saw the video, I saw it a couple times, I think I get it, but I'm not quite sure, you can come and visit me. Okay, I'm making myself available for basically an hour, because I have one for my teens and one for my adults. And I call it the reassurance session, where you can come, ask questions, and all that. So then you have your books that you're going to get, your exam book, and also the walkthrough. Now, you can read all this yourself, okay, before you purchase anything. All right, so always ask me questions. If you want anything, please do not hesitate to message me and ask me questions. Now, here's another thing. If you want, like I have my whole thing where you just get the books only, and the difference with this one, you actually get the video recording of all my books. So even the practice problems, how did I solve them step by step, you can get video recordings of me doing it. So you can get the individual ebooks all here for all 10 of the Algebra at Your Pace. Okay, you can get the individual books instead of working on a bundle. But again, I think the bundle is so much easier, and that is going to be over at 11:59 today. Okay, last part, and then I'm done. If you need the physical books, you have to go to the A. I have a link that takes you directly to that if you rather do the physical books. So that's all here for you. Okay, if you want the matching cards, I think someone asked me about the matching cards. It's this one, the verbal to algebraic matching cards. So those are exactly the cards that I was using today. As soon as I can find them underneath all this mess. Okay, these are the exact cards that I use. It is matching. So it comes as an ebook. You can print out the pages and make matching cards for yourself, maybe for your kids, maybe make an entertainment. So like say you get these matching cards and maybe you'll work a little bit with the expressions. The expression book, this has these cards, which I didn't show. So this is like solving, evaluating, okay? And also a little bit of matching cards. The answers are going to be in the back, okay? So you have all of this. And I think I might come live this afternoon just really doing like maybe a preview of all my stuff, or I might do something like that this week. But this is where you can go to get everything answered. Again, if you click on one of it, you can get more details of what you're looking for before you purchase. And it always says your download. All of these are ebooks. Okay, so there will not be a book being delivered to you unless you go to the section that says physical books on the A. All right. Did I bore you to death now? All right, so I think that's enough. But again, if you have any questions, please ask them. If you're thinking about, do you tutor? I'm taking college algebra right now and it's starting to kick my butt. Whatever it is, ask. That's the only way that we're going to be able to get from point A to point B. So if you already want to do like the free one, you can just go to my profile and then you can get the free section. All right, so I'm going to see how things go with me for the rest of the day. But if anything, if you do have questions, I'd rather you ask than you purchase something and then you regret. I don't want that. I want you to be able to purchase with the intent of moving forward because you can do this. If I can teach it and you can understand it, because this wasn't my dream. This was all God. Like, this was all God. He was like, I need you to go here. Okay, all right. Don't have to be so rough. All right. But this is what's happening. Okay. So have an amazing rest of your day. Get outside. I'm going to see if I can sit outside for a little bit and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you possibly later. Not a problem, Big Out. Not a problem, everyone. Have an amazing day. Take care. Oh, and happy Father's Day to everyone. Take care.